Well, I think we've got a really nice group of second-year guys returning. They've worked hard in the off-season, and I think their games have improved. And then I think we have a very nice group of first-year guys, and so we're excited for the season.
Talk about, I know, on paper, as you look at the team from last year and some of the guys that you won't be returning, you lose quite a bit of the scoring. Sheeter's gone. Who else? Griff isn't going to be back. Brandon Holes, Corey McGowan. So what makes you optimistic that despite losing that scoring on paper, this can be, maybe potentially a better group?
Well, I think part of it is, again, we talked a little bit about our second-year guys, worked really hard in the offseason to improve, not only physically but skill development-wise. And then we bring in a really good group of first-year guys we have some size, we have some athletes, we have some guys that can shoot the ball. There's a lot of different things in this group between the first and second-year guys that leads us to be reasonably optimistic if we can pull it together that it could be a fun group to coach.
Antoine Epps is a new name for some on the roster, but yet not a new name. He played for you several seasons ago. He'll have his sophomore year of eligibility for you this year. So he's a little bit older than a lot of the guys on the team. How can he, or maybe how have you seen him utilize kind of that maturity in dealing with some younger guys in kind of the been there, done that sort of fashion?
Well, I think if you look at our roster, we have a lot of first-year guys, and so a lot of guys that are right out of high school. And certainly Twan will bring some maturity. He's been through a year at this level. He played, 4 or 5 years ago. And he's skilled. He's more mature. Physically, he's better than he was when he was here before. And, I think he will bring a lot of leadership to the table, both in practice, outside of practice. He's been there. He's experienced things. I mean, I think he's a guy that our younger guys can go to if they have questions or concerns or whatever. So I think every good team has good leadership from within. And I think Twan and our second-year guys certainly bring to the table, I think, some really good leadership. Scoring-wise, we do lose a lot from last year. I mean, the guys that you mentioned were guys that were, probably scored a majority of our points. But again, I think, it's exciting because we've got a good group of first-year guys with an improved group of second-year guys. So that's what leads us to be optimistic.
On paper, it looks like you added some size with this year's group. How quickly can that size translate or up their game to the collegiate level, in your opinion?
Well, I think our bigs are working hard. We've worked fairly hard on post moves. We've worked hard on footwork. We've worked hard on the physical development in the weight room. I would anticipate our big guys to play pretty well. We like what we see so far. We've got some guys, at least one guy that we're still waiting to get released so that he can actually start practice with us, and he's a big and he'll be good. So fairly excited about our group inside this year, not only size-wise but skill-wise.
A name, not a big guy, but a name that should be able to come in and probably make an impact for you pretty quickly, I would imagine, is Brian Bearden. He's got state championship high school experience, a big contributor to those Germantown championship teams. Talk about what he brings to this group.
Well, Brian is certainly very skilled. He came from a great program with a lot of really good athletes, good basketball players, all kinds of guys, that are playing Division I basketball, and he's got a really nice skill set. As we continue to work with Brian, he's really coachable. He's a good teammate. He's a really good guy, and I think work ethic is solid. I expect Brian to have a really nice year for us. He brings some things to the table that we may not have had last year, as well as some of our other first-year guys who played in really successful high school teams. Christian Zimmerman at Green Bay New Lutheran, Jack Jelassic at Dominican. I mean, we could go right down the list. Simeon Pooler from Blair Taylor. I mean, I think we've got some guys who they're first-year guys, and they're typical of first-year guys. They're skilled, and, you know, we need to continue to teach how to work hard all the time, how to play hard on every possession, those kinds of things that are very typical for guys that are just out of high school.
Talk about the conference now, if you will, the N4C. Last year, the national champion came from the N4C in Rock Valley College. How strong do you expect it to be in 2014-15, and where does your group, in your mind, fit into that picture?
Well, I think the conference will be brutal like always. I mean, it's the top to bottom, it's very, very talented. And, you know, there's not a lot of margin, I think, between a lot of teams here. Rock Valley was very good last year. They bring everybody back with some other recruits. And so I would anticipate they're going to be very, very strong. Joliet is always good. Harper has been really good. Milwaukee is good. DePage is good. We could go right down the list and talk about every team in this league. And, you know, from top to bottom, there's no easy wins. You know, so you really have to bring it every time you play, whether it's home or away. And, you know, so I think the strength of the conference may be one of the reasons why teams out of this region have had some success in the national tournament. Joliet was national champ a few years ago, Rock Valley this past year. You know, so I would anticipate the conference will be absolutely loaded. And where do we fit in? I don't know, to be honest with you. I like our group so far. I like how we compete. We've got a talented group. I think that we'll fit right into our conference. What does that mean as far as wins and losses? I don't know. I mean, you look at this conference and you could see somebody, you know, be having 3 or 4 losses and still being the champion. You know, so anything's possible, and I would anticipate that our kids will compete. And, you know, we'll be able to play, my hope is, with anybody on our schedule.
You guys haven't even started your scrimmages yet in terms of against other teams. What have you been saying or preaching to this team the most with the season kind of, you know, about to really get going here?
Well, I think, number one, we have to be better defensively. I think the last couple of years, and it's probably a coaching staff issue, and I'll take responsibility. We haven't been very good defensively, I think, the last couple of years. I don't think we've taken care of the ball like we need to. So obviously, the messages that they hear every day in practice are center around defense, around taking care of the ball, around making the next pass, around getting a good shot on every possession, transition defense, any of those kinds of things that typically make teams fairly successful. Those are the kinds of things that we need to do. We did have a scrimmage against Clark University last week, and I thought our kids down there, I thought our kids played really well. I mean, we did some good things. We scrimmaged Marian University this Saturday, and I'm really excited to see how we do because I think they lost to Stevens Point last year in tournament play by 1 or 2, and they bring a lot of kids back. You know, so it'll be a great test to see kind of where we're at early on here. We open up a week from tomorrow, and all of these experiences just help show us where we're at, what we need to get better at, so that we can continue to improve as a team as the season goes on.
Finally, I'm going to put you on the hot seat a little bit here. You got 14 conference games this season, if I counted correctly. Give me the over/under 7 conference wins for the Wolfpack, and why?
To be honest with you, I don't know. You put me on the hot seat, and I just don't know. I really don't know. By the time we get to January, I might have a better idea where we're at. We are so young. I'm just not sure how we're going to respond to some things. We'll take it game by game. Our goal is to win each half of each game, and we'll be fine. Everything will take care of itself. But you know what? If we could be if we can win our home games and then steal a couple of conference games on the road, we'll be in good shape in our conference. And that's going to be the key, making sure that we hold our home court and then stealing a game or two on the road, which I think every team is capable of, and so are we. So I know this, it'll be a great conference season. Competition will be fantastic like it always is, and I hope we're somewhere in that mix.